In this tutorial, we're going to create parallax a very, very different way. Now, let's open up the Simple Scrolling 1 MC. This stands for movie clip, and the reason why is that we are going to be creating a movie clip, which is going to be very different than some of the other ways that we've done this. Now, it can be a little complicated, so I'm going to open up another file just to show you what's going on. This is the parallax sample file, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and take these two movie clips that I've already made into movie clips and make them three-dimensional by going to the 3D rotate tool and then rotating them in 3D space. And you'll notice that I can actually rotate that object. Now, with this one, I don't even really need to rotate it, but what I do need to do is I do need to move it back in space so that it's further away from the camera. Now I'm going to scale it up with the Q key so it's back to about its original size. Now I can move that just underneath that a little bit more, maybe move that down as well. So now I have my object, my scene, and I've got my sidewalk, and I'm going to go ahead and turn these into a movie clip. In order to turn these into a movie clip, I'll just right click, choose convert to symbol, or press F8, and this will be my city. Now watch what happens when I drag this. Notice that I automatically get parallax. And this is really quite phenomenal. Now here's the problem with it. If you drag up and down, you'll actually create parallax that way as well, which can actually be a little bit of a problem. So you do want to avoid that if possible. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and create a very simple animation with this, just 30 frames long, by making sure that I drag that across and keep it together, doing a classic tween. And there's my animation. Now, what's pretty amazing about this is that this three-dimensional pan that I just did was very, very easy to do. And we can actually use this with multiple layers. So that's what we're going to be doing with the side-scrolling one movie clip. Let's go ahead and make everything three-dimensional and start to move them back. And the way you can do that is go to the 3D Translate tool and start to move these objects back in space. And you'll see if I move that back, I might need to bring it up just a little bit. And I'm going to move that really far back. And I might need to press the Q key to get to the free transform tool to kind of scale that up a little bit as well. Now I'm going to do that with the other objects as well, move them pretty far back. And one of the things that you could do is actually start to use the position. If I go to 3D position and scale, you'll notice that as I change these, I am changing certain numbers. So there's my Z. I can move that just by sliding on that itself. So let's make that 700. Let's make sure that that is more. So I'm going to make that 2,000. Oh, 2,000. This one will be 500 maybe. This one will be 200. Actually, it can stay where it is. Let me make that 300. So it's not quite as far. So now what I need to do is I need to move around my objects so that I get my scene kind of set up the way I want. I might need to rotate this as well just a little bit, just to give it a tiny bit of rotation. There are no lines that are vertical with this, so I'm not really sure it's going to matter a whole lot, but it's not a bad idea to do anyway. But I'm going to scale that up with the Q key. I can scale that just to make sure that I've got my layers to be kind of the length that I need, because I definitely need them to be a little bit longer. That one's longer. This one in the back is just a little bit shorter than that. And then the moon, if I can grab it, needs to come up. And I'm holding down the shift key and nudging it up into place. And then scaling it if need be. There we go. I've got that moved there. So I've got pretty much everything set up now. So I can select all the layers, and I could do the boy as well. Make these a movie clip. You know what? I don't think I'm going to do the boy because I want to animate him on the movie clip separately. The kid should be animated separately. So anyway, I'll right-click, choose Convert to Symbol. This will be my city in this file. Now what I want to do, and you'll notice that it got rid of all those three layers, buildings 2, and moon, because that stuff was all moved into the movie clip. Now I'll create my animation. I'll make it 50 frames long. Insert keyframe, and I can move over the objects just a little bit. There we go, until I kind of get to the end of that. And of course, the kid does need to be animated a little bit separately, so I'll move him to the end, then maybe make some keyframes in between, so he's here in the middle of the file. He hangs out a little bit at that same place, and so that's it for my classic tweens. Make those real quick. Right-click, classic tween, classic tween. So, oh, my kid needs to start from off the stage. Holding down the shift key and make sure that's straight. So I also need to, of course, make my road tween. So there we go. That is the end of that particular tween. You'll notice if the object just stops in the middle, it looks a little awkward. So I think just a little bit of motion, even if it goes backwards, is a good idea for the animation. But that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and save this. Make sure that you remove the start when you do yours. I'm going to call mine done. We can test it, and you'll see that we have created the 3D parallax just by using three-dimensional settings in Flash and moving and animating that one movie clip. It's quite amazing what you can do with the new version of Flash. So I hope you enjoyed that, and go on to the next tutorial, and we will look at starting to loop our backgrounds.